Okay, so I'd like to start off by welcoming you, Adrian. It feels like a real honor to be here, welcome you to this book launch, this launch of your book. And I've known you for quite a few years now, particularly I think through the European Journal of Eco-Psychology.
Yes.
I've done a few peer reviews for you and
Mhm.
so on in the
Good.
past, so we've had some communication over that. But you've written a number of articles, and that now we've got the opportunity for you, with you
Mhm.
having written this book, and I've got my copy here in front of me. And particularly, I'd like to start off by inviting you maybe just to say a little bit about how it's come into being, because I've been aware of the articles that you've
Thank
written and your work on the European Journal. But, you know, this book
you.
is a new venture. So please tell us some more about it and how it came into being.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it was well, a couple of things. There was one, a sense from when I do nature connection workshops, which I've been doing for a long, long time. I was quite often found myself looking around for exercises. I'm thinking, well, we need some exercise ideas. And there's a few books around with some things in it, but I always seem to be scrabbling around to try and find something. I thought, well, somebody should really write a book with a good selection of nature connection exercises. And of course, it's like, well, maybe I could do that. So that's been hovering around for a while as something I might do. And then it really all came to into focus, if you like, when I was out on a walk, probably, I guess it was where are we now? Late autumn, a year back. And it suddenly came to me, well, well, really, there's three things that we need to think about for nature connection. We've got to slow down.
Mm,
Well, yeah, of course, you've got to slow down. If you don't slow down, then you're not going to get anywhere. And then you need to get curious. Really kind of like get that curious mind activated. And then of course you've got to use all your senses. So I've got these three things. I thought, what is that? Is that it? Is that enough? I couldn't
yeah.
quite. I thought it just seemed almost too simple. And then I thought about it, and it was like, no, those three keys, if
Mm,
you get them all together, they'll do the job.
mm, yes.
And having such a simple framework that I could offer people,
Mm,
particularly people who are new to this, because I wanted to create something that somebody who kind of had heard of Nature Connection but didn't know quite how to do it, just thought, oh, this is a good thing in some way. So a really simple way to get people off the sofa, out into their local park or even their garden, and begin to connect. So from there, it's like, okay, so I've got the three keys. I'll create some exercises,
mm,
and then it all then began. Then it grew. It just got bigger and
yes.
bigger
Yes.
until the book finally emerged.
Mm, yes. And I think the sort of practicality of that really struck me about the book. It feels like it's a really useful, you know, apart from the fact that it says a lot that's important in terms of the background and so on, it's a really useful tool for people who want to go out there and make these connections.
Yeah, something that's really dawned on me over the last year, I suppose, or maybe even the last 6 months, become even more apparent. But yes, all the theoretical ideas are wonderful. I mean,
Mm,
I've got a PhD. I love all that
yeah.
stuff. Love books, love words.
Mm,
But what actually makes a difference for people
mm,
is experiences.
mm, mm,
So I very much wanted the book to be,
mm,
yes, here's some ideas and here's where I'm coming from with this.
mm,
But these are exercises you can go out there and you can then have the experience
mm,
yourself.
mm,
And
mm,
that's that's where the
mm,
juice is for me.
mm.
And I'm becoming more and more convinced experience is more important than talking about it.
Yes. Well, and there's something lovely in that because, in a way, what's striking me is that another way of putting that is it's almost like you need to show up, you need to be present and embodied and there, and then you need to be open, you need to be curious. And actually, it's not a matter of working it out in your head, it's a matter of it's there and it will speak to you.
Yeah, totally. It is. It is.
Mm.
It. Well, I was at one point going to call the book initially. It was going to call it Nature Connection Made Simple,
Yes.
and I put that out there, and a few people were like, "Oh no, that doesn't have the right vibe." And then having written it, I thought, "No, no, that really isn't what it is." But in a sense,
Mm.
that was kind of my aim to just say, "Look,
Yes.
this isn't this
Mm.
isn't rocket science. This is your birthright.
Mm.
I think that's the essential thing. This is your birthright. You belong here as a member of the greater ecosystem. And if you can just drop all the nonsense and just let yourself come into that, then something wonderful happens then. The real, which is why it's like remembering wholeness is
Mm.
what I came to as kind of
Mm.
the deeper title, if you like, because that's actually what
Mm.
it's about. It's about coming back
Yeah.
to that being
Yes.
part of everything.
Yes. A kind of coming home.
Yeah, just that sense of belonging. That's really what I think is a key
Mm.
a key
Mm.
a key lesson of the book, really.
Yes. Yes. And that's what you come back to, that sense of coming home at the end.
Yeah, yeah, because when I bring it all together, there is this sense
Yes.
that's kind of like where the three keys bring you is
Mm.
this homecoming.
Mm. And I kind of felt there was a sort of almost like a double message in that because on the one hand, there's coming home in the sense of reconnecting with nature and the way that that brings us home, but also there's something about bringing that connection and that connectedness back into our lives as well.
Yes,
What do we
yes,
take home with us after our walk in nature or whatever it is? So I
yes.
felt it had that kind of double meaning in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my intention was to kind of frame the book as a bit of a journey
Mm.
where you're stepping out, you're leaving your home, you're going out to the park or wherever it is
Mhm.
you're going, and then something happens there, and then you're coming back home again.
Mm.
So yes, that kind of double meaning of
Mm.
coming home again.
Mm.
Mm.
Yes. So you've talked a bit about the way that the book came together and so on. I'm wondering, where would you like to go? You said that you'd got an extract that you might like to read. Would that
Yes,
be a good place to go at this stage?
yeah, yeah. That would be
Mm.
nice.
Maybe you can give us a bit of context to it as well.
Yeah. So so it ties in quite well with what we've just been saying. This is
Mm.
from
Yeah, I was thinking that. Mm.
from towards the end of the book. It's one of the later chapters, and I'm talking about awe, which is an extraordinarily powerful emotion. I mean, it's the
Mm.
researchers have just started getting excited about awe, and
Mm.
it's quite extraordinary. So I'm just going to read just a short extract
Mm.
from a paragraph called Awe and Gratitude. I'll
Mm.
just stick with that, the first part
Mm.
of that. Have you ever looked up at a towering tree or watched a spider weave her web? Nature is brilliant at giving us wow moments like that, and the feeling of awe is powerful. Awe promotes curiosity and brings us into a greater sense of presence. In fact, awe is such an intense emotion that it can even slow down our perception of time. As Professor Melanie Rudd from Stanford University puts it, time feels more expansive, more full and rich. This feeling of time abundance expands your sense of what's possible, boosting creativity and opening up your imagination. All this contributes to a greater sense of meaning and purpose in life. No surprise then that awe helps us to manage stress and reduce feelings of anxiety. Nature is the perfect place to experience awe, and in turn, awe will deepen your sense of connection. Awe can soften our sense of separateness, allowing us to feel part of something bigger than ourselves. The Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh suggests that the very purpose of our existence is to awaken from our illusion of separateness. While our everyday experience may tell us that we are separate beings, most of us have had moments when that boundary blurs. Claire Thompson describes such a moment while watching a spectacular sunrise. Quote from her, she says, "I didn't realize until afterwards, but my sense of self was absent. I was simply absorbed by the intrinsic wonder of the view and intimately involved in a deep contemplation of the pure grace and delicate beauty of nature. I was an integral part of the scene." And that quote is taken from an interview I did with Claire for the Embodied Pathways podcast, which is something that I weave in to the book as another dimension of the work. So you can go off and listen to those full episodes and get more of the richness from that. I shall stop there.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, it's a very powerful description. And, I think this experience of awe, well, I'm just struck by so many areas of it. I mean, that what you said about time and the way that it alters one's perception of time, I thought that was very interesting and very resonant for me with that experience, that kind of moment when time just stops and you have that experience of standing before something, and in that moment you're just there, and there isn't a kind of before, afterwards, or during kind of experience. It's just beingness.
Mm. Mm.
And also, I liked what you were saying about Thich Nhat Hanh's description of the interconnectedness of things, and that sense of, in those moments, those boundaries start to dissolve and we just feel interconnected. And I suppose for me that also, having read some of the research on awe, and I think you quote it in your book, um, the the way that the sense of self shifts and changes. And there was a description, I think, in one of the research projects about the way that people were taking selfies, and the selfies that they took at the beginning of the experiment and then at the end of a period of working with awe, towards the end, the person actually was very small within the landscape.
Ah,
And I thought this was
yeah,
fascinating.
yeah.
It's like we contextualize ourselves as we experience that, or we're suddenly small beings in relation to the great presence of everything else. And we're just part of everything else at that point. So I think it's a fascinating area.
One of the later exercises is an awe walk.
Mm, yes.
And I think an all walk, when I'm describing it, I'm saying an all walk is kind of a mini workshop in itself.
Yeah.
And I put it towards the end because you can draw on everything that you've learned that so
Mm,
far,
mm,
and then bring that to the experience of going on an all walk, which is
mm, mm.
they're they're hugely powerful and
Mm.
hugely enriching. So,
Yes, yes.
recommended for anybody. If you haven't done one, it's a really
Mm,
good thing to do.
mm, mm. I suppose it also, I mean, moving on from awe in a way, I'm struck by how much of the book you ground in research as well.
Yeah, it was important for me that it was grounded in research, but equally, I didn't want it to be full of lots of footnotes everywhere
Mm,
and
mm,
getting in the way. So it was trying to give a sense that it is grounded in research, but it's not in your face. And if you want to go and find out, you can do. But just to give people just the confidence that this is coming from a very solid grounding of well, decades and decades
mm,
of research now, isn't it?
mm.
Mm.
Yes, yes, yes. And I think that's one thing that's interesting is the whole process and the process of research that again is an experiential thing. You know, a lot of this research is done through taking people into nature and reflecting on the
Yeah,
experience of it. So
yeah,
though it may look academic, it's actually real people's experience that we're commenting on and exploring.
yeah, yeah. It is. It's one of the things I like about the ecotherapy and the eco psychology research is it does tend to be it's very grounded in
Mm,
people's experiences of what actually happens in nature. And
mm,
curiously, it's you'd think, oh, if it's scientific research, it's not going to be have any spiritual dimension. But quite a lot of it, especially some of the more recent stuff, the spiritual is coming in. It's like really being accepted as this is part of the bigger picture. Well,
mm,
just talked about all, haven't we?
mm.
It's about
Yes.
spiritual as you can get. So psychologists really
Mm,
engaging with the spiritual dimensions of
mm.
nature connection, I think is a lovely thing to see.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I think it almost naturally flows for a lot of people. And even if it's not framed in any particular spiritual tradition, there is something about that nature connection that actually draws one into a spiritual relationship.
Yeah. This what's coming to mind is the exercise I was going to offer because this
Right.
we're kind of in that zone
Mm-hmm.
of so the one I would like to offer
Mm,
people, it's actually the very first one in the book, uh, and it's drawing on the research. It's
mm,
come out of quite a lot of research into what benefits people, and it's
mm,
called the three good things in nature.
mm,
So I'll talk people through it, and it would be quite. I would like us or everybody here to kind of do it with me because
mm,
it's a beautiful thing that we can do anywhere. So it's simply at some point during your day, and ideally do it regularly. Maybe the research says I'll do it for at least a week, but it's a great thing to do for longer than that. So at some point in your day, I like to do it at the end of the day. This is probably a good time. Have us just sit and think back over the day and bring to mind three aspects of nature that have given you that feeling of, oh, that's lovely, or
mm,
have given you some feeling of some good feeling or another,
mm,
sense of gratitude or something beautiful or something profound or something even something awesome. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy.
mm,
I'm sitting here listening to the rain, and that's beautiful and calming. So that would be one of my three good things in nature from today.
Mm.
So just little simple things, and really being with each one of those as you bring them to mind, feeling what comes up in the body as you bring it to mind, what feelings are there. I'll just let you sit with that for a little while, just to think of three things from today that from nature that you're particularly grateful for, have been brought you joy in any way. And do drop into the chat anything that comes up for you. You've got dappled sunlight, wind in the trees, the colour green. And when you bring each of those things to mind, really pausing and letting them soak in, letting that good feeling soak into the body, being with it. And this is something you can journal about. Ideally, when the full exercise is to sit and write these things down, and then take a bit of time in your journal just to write about what comes up and what those things are and how they make you feel.
Mm.
Lovely. I'm just looking at some of the things in the chat. The warmth of the sun, hawthorn berries,
Mm.
wet apples on the tree.
Such lovely images, aren't they?
Yeah, beautiful. Yes, lovely. Thank you. There's some beautiful images coming out there,
Mm.
some lovely experiences just from
Mm.
one day. So
Yes.
doing this every day, it really does
Mm.
tune you in to the beauty and the wonder of nature
Mm.
more. So
And I suppose what strikes me is that in a way this kind of exercise takes you into daily life. This is something that you can do anywhere. And I think for so many people, these days, some people are living somewhere wild and beautiful, but a lot of us are living in urban or semi-urban kinds of environments. But this is an exercise that people can do anywhere. And, that feels very special and precious.
yeah, I think that's been quite a lot of talk, and some of the research recently has been talking about how those that live in very urban environments can find it much more difficult to
Mm.
connect to nature, and it impacts on their mental and physical health
Mm.
in all sorts of different ways. So
Yeah.
having something like this, that even if you are living right in a tower block in the middle of a big city, you
Mm.
can still see the sky, you can still hear the birds. There will still be something you can find that will give you some pleasure,
Mm.
even if it's, as somebody said, even if it's like eating an apple or, you know,
Yes.
the smell of.
Yes. I mean, the sky is always there.
Yeah,
And the sky is constantly changing, or well, usually.
yeah,
Sometimes it's thick cloud, but that's got its own kind of magnificence about it. So there are always things we can tune into, but we don't necessarily choose to do that.
yeah. So that's the first exercise in the book, and one that I think is a really good starter for people.
Mm. Yeah.
And then there's over 60 of them altogether,
Mm.
spread across the three keys
Mm.
talked about earlier.
Yes. 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 I mean, it's a very rich collection there. And certainly, I would, as we run a training program here at Tariki, and it's certainly a book that I think our students will find very useful, and I will be recommending it on many occasions, I'm sure, because it has got such a rich collection. I mean, it's beautifully put together, but it's also got plenty that one can borrow from and work from, and so on. So, yes.
Well,
So thank you very much for that.
but it's that book that I wanted way back.
Mm,
You know, okay, so I've created it now.
yes.
The other thing, so there's the book, and then there's the links to the podcast, some of the
Mm,
interviews, and there's also uh, videos.
mm,
I've done
yes.
videos of me doing some of the exercise
Mm, yes.
and a couple of recordings of some of the
Mm,
meditations. So
mm,
I hope I've intended to make it a bit of a multimedia thing so that it has a
yes.
wider appeal.
Mm. Yes, I was going to say that. It's very multimedia in that respect. Yes. I mean, it's a real kind of resource pack. Yeah. As
Yeah.
well as having really important themes that go all the way through it.
Mm.
One theme I wanted to ask you about in that respect, and in a way it follows on from what I've just been saying about sort of modern life and the context of modern life, but I'm interested in the way that you kind of juxtapose that with this Stone Age couple or
Yes,
family, because it's a family, isn't it? So,
it is a family.
do you want to say a bit about how they got into the book?
Yeah, yeah, no, I'd love to, because I was thinking, well, stories are really powerful, and that's
Mm,
how I comment on that in the book. And
mm,
I think so. Stories are really powerful. How can I bring some? I've got my own stories in there, of
mm,
course, but I thought, well, let me bring some more stories in. And then I was really interested in what I was hearing,
mm,
really from the research I was reading about how Indigenous peoples have practices that enable them to really stay more closely connected than what are some sort of, I don't know what to call us, industrialized humans. And then it was like, oh, so actually some of the hunter-gatherers live in ways that are quite close to how we've lived for most of our existence. I mean,
mm,
99.9% of our existence we've lived much closer. I thought, okay, how can I really bring that to life? And then I thought, oh, well,
mm,
let's have this Stone Age couple who exist
mm,
more. I mean, it's a little bit of a fantasy, but it is also. I was looking into some of
mm,
what we
mm.
know from the archaeology. So it was, well,
Yeah.
is that realistic? I think, well, no, it is realistic because they did use
Mm,
honey to
mm,
treat wounds, and they did hunt in these particular
mm.
ways. So
Absolutely.
those stories are made up, but they are grounded in the archaeological
Mm,
facts as we know them.
yes.
Um,
Yes. I
yeah.
think it certainly adds another dimension to the book. And yes, I mean, in some ways it's very far removed from us as modern human beings, but at the same time, I think it also enriches what's possible within a modern life.
Yeah, because it is because what I'm kind of weave it in, so it's like,
Mm,
yes, this is how they quite possibly lived,
mm,
but it's not that far away. We've still got those
mm,
capacities if we
mm,
choose to
mm,
step into them and to develop
mm,
them.
mm,
The sort of sensory
mm,
capacities. Well, Thoreau comes to mind,
mm. Yes.
who developed the most extraordinary sensory capacity through spending time living in a hut in the woods
Mm,
for long periods. So
mm,
it's there for us. It's
yes.
not lost.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's that relationship between that kind of immersion experience of living in a hut in the woods or however you do it, and that attunement of the senses. I think that's so interesting, isn't it? Because it's like, in a way, we discover ourselves more as we discover our surroundings more.
Yes. Yeah. I did a nature connection workshop at the weekend,
Mm,
and afterwards somebody commented, she was saying, really interesting. We've got it all, haven't we? It's
mm,
all there
mm. Yeah.
with this kind of like, oh my God, wow, I've got, because it was a lot of it was around sensory,
Mm,
developing the senses, or just playing around with them a little bit. So this
mm,
realization that we don't need to learn some extraordinary new technique. It's like we've got ears and eyes and
mm,
skin,
yes,
and we can
yes.
tune in and connect through those in extraordinary ways.
Mm, yes.
Mm.
And so much I mean, it's interesting because our tuning into our own senses and our embodiment and so on goes hand in hand with the tuning into the other than human world around us. And in a way, it's the same process, isn't it?
Totally, totally.
Mm,
The whole field of embodiment has been
mm,
fundamental to my research
mm,
for years and
yeah.
years. And for
Mm,
me, I don't think I actually use the word embodiment in there anywhere, but it's absolutely foundational
mm,
that that's how we connect to nature through becoming more embodied beings,
mm, mm,
which is
yes.
what our culture has tended
Mm,
to feel uncomfortable with or got pushed away or
mm,
just in some way lost that connection with.
mm. Well, yes, and for me, it brings me back to mindfulness, and particularly the texts on mindfulness, which start off with that awareness of the body as the body sits in nature. You know, it's
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it runs right the way through, doesn't it? Mindfulness very much
absolutely.
is.
And so it's like we develop that relationship with our own senses that in a way is less there's less ownership involved in it. It's not so much my sight or my hearing or my feeling, my touch, my body sense. It's more the seeing, the hearing, the body sense. And it's part of that natural flow that you were talking about earlier when you were talking about our interconnectedness with things. It's like we
Mm,
come back to that through these exercises and these connective processes.
yeah. My hope is once you've had these experiences, it kind of shifts something. It's like, oh,
Mm,
I'm actually not as separate as I thought I was.
mm, mm.
And
Yes,
things,
yes.
yeah,
Yes, I notice Selena's just written, we're absorbed into nature.
absolutely. I mean, that's essential, isn't it? That we are
Yes.
the illusion that we're separate from nature is
Mm,
what's causing such a
yes,
crisis in the
yes,
world at the moment. So
yes.
we can
Well, and
hope.
maybe we already are nature, but we just need to discover that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that I was hoping would come across to people that they would
Mm,
begin to remember. Well, remembering wholeness is remembering that we are nature
mm,
in
yes.
ourselves.
Mm.
Mm.
So, what are you hoping people will take from the book? I mean, that's obviously one thing.
Well, well, it's been a lovely because you put these things out there, you don't quite know how it's going to land.
Mm,
But I took
mm,
it to a transpersonal psychology conference
mm,
earlier this year. Took about, I don't know, 8 copies or so, and they all went really quickly. And I was curious about the range. There was one person does outdoor coaching,
hmm
so she's going to take it off and use it. And that there was somebody who said, "Oh, this would be wonderful for my brownies group," which I was just delighted about.
Yes.
Um, Somebody else, two people were working in the NHS, specifically trying to bring more nature connection
Mm,
to the staff to
mm,
help them in their work. So not so much the patients, but the staff. So they were quite excited about how this might be
mm,
a tool for that. So yeah, so I came in with my own thoughts about hoping it would help people become more aware of,
mm,
more connected,
mm,
and more aware
yes,
of our connection to nature, and
mm,
maybe I think ultimately I'm an environmental activist for decades,
mm,
and I'm really hoping that this is going to help people wake up and really
mm,
become more
yes.
attentive to what's going on, and we defend what we love.
Mm.
So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
a big hope of mine.
Well, yes, and I think that's what's so wonderful, isn't it? I mean, it's like we can start off at that level where people are maybe coming to workshops or therapy or whatever we're offering, and it's a very broad field, as you've described, so many different areas that people are taking ecotherapy into or nature connection into. It's not just a singular thing. But like it starts off with that kind of idea of, well, I need this because it's healing for me, it's good for my mental health, it
Yeah,
helps me to relax, all that kind of stuff. But somehow the thing seduces people into that kind of deep connection in which they all become activists, hopefully.
yeah,
Or at
yes,
least that's the way I dream it working.
yeah. Totally. There was part of me who was going, well, it's a bit of a Trojan horse, isn't it, really, Adrian? You're saying it's really nature connection, really good for your mental health, your anxiety will drop, and it's really thinking, yeah, but actually while you're doing it, you're suddenly going to wake up to how
Yes,
extraordinarily beautiful the world is, and you're going to want to protect it or be more environmentally
yes,
engaged. So yeah, but that's all fine. It's all it's a good motivation to be coming from.
yes. Oh, I love that image of the Trojan horse. I think that's I think
Oh,
that's certainly where we should be working.
yeah, yeah.
I'm wondering if there's more that you want to say, or if you want to open up for questions, or where we want to go now.
The last one last piece I wanted to touch
Mm,
on before we go
yeah.
to questions is how those moments in the process of writing the book when I felt the other than human was helping me out.
Mm,
And there were several occasions where I was off in the woods, maybe struggling with something, thinking, well, I haven't quite
mm,
got that right. And there was one of the stories about the Stone Age family that was going, it's not quite, I haven't quite got this. And it was almost like nature went, or the other than human went, Adrian, listen, here's what it is. Just
mm.
settle in. And it was really like a conversation with the spirit of place,
Yeah.
helping me
Mm,
to to write a better book.
mm,
So I actually acknowledge that in the front. I say, oh, this is kind
yes.
of there's a debt owed to the other than human for the inspiration
Mm,
for most of the exercises and probably most of the ideas in there as well,
mm,
to be honest.
mm.
Oh,
And that's so beautiful and so powerful.
oh, oh.
Yes. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Welcome. Well,
Yeah.
on that, maybe we could open up, and I'd love to hear how that's landed with people. If they've got any particular questions that we can
Yes,
explore.
well, thank you very much, Adrian. This has been very rich, and I'm sure there are people here who have questions. I'm going to stop the recording at this point
Okay.
because obviously when we're opening it up to people, then they're going to be coming on the
Yeah.
screen. So we'll
Yeah.
we'll close the recording at this point. But it will be available. I guess you're going to post it on
Yeah. I'll put it on
yeah,
my YouTube
on
channel.
YouTube, yes,
So
and
for
we
those
can
of you,
circulate that through our Tariki
okay.
circuits as well.
Oh,
And actually, just before I sign off the recording, if I can just mention that we've got a number of people here from Tariki today, but I know that there are also people who are not from Tariki. So just to say welcome to all those people and do pop back at some stage. We have a lot of interesting things going on here. So.
indeed you do.
But most importantly, thank you very much, Adrian. It's been very rich, and we continue with some questions now.
Brilliant. So thank you for
Okay.
those who are watching the
Mm,
recording. We'll
thank
now
you.
open up for questions.
Yeah, thank you.